Mind Gap Podcast.
Everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin. And Doug, if someone asked to be your apprentice and to learn all that you know, what is the one thing that you would teach them? What's the top thing you would teach them?
Well, boats are a depreciating asset. I mean, that's probably an ongoing joke. It's probably like, too easy. But
someone's apprenticing to learn about depreciating assets?
It's like, and I'm probably actually the worst person to learn from. I just be like, listen, that's a depreciating asset. That's a depreciating asset. That's a depreciating asset. You got it? Cool.
Moving
Run along
on.
now. Moving on. Don't invest in depreciating assets. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Ta-da. What would you teach them?
I would teach them about not the value of continuing to record before you start a podcast.
And why is that, Justin?
Because I have learned the hard way to not stop and delete things. Because apparently that's gold that is just wasted, you know?
Not always.
Well, it could have been. Who knows?
You never know, I guess. You know, it could be something, but most of the time it's probably not. So,
but what would you teach them? Would you teach them about working out? Would you teach them about designing for learning? Would you teach them about what would you do?
I would tell them it would depend on what they want to learn because I'm not going to be like.
Would you say, why the fuck are you apprenticing with me?
Probably. I'd be like, what do you want to know? Because I'm not going to be the guy that's like, let me teach you about this thing. And they're like, I have zero interest in that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, great. Well, I'm going to teach you anyway. Because that's going to be a real great experience for nobody, you know? If they want to know about, anything that I have in my knowledge, whether it's learning how to design things or, if they want to know, how to podcast or whatever, I'd be happy to share my knowledge. I'm always happy to share my knowledge, but it's really, I'd have to cater it to them because they're like, Doug, tell me all about fashion. I'd be like, this shirt doesn't fit me that well. So I don't think I'm the right person you want to talk to about
I would 100% lean into a topic that I know nothing about. And I would see
Just
how
fake
far,
it?
how far can we get down that rabbit hole before they start questioning my authority.
Yeah, for me, probably pretty quick. If you're like, tell me all about cars. I'm like, well,
I disagree. I think
starts with the tire juice. You got to make sure it's juiced, real. 'Cause you got to milk. You got to milk them every day. That's why they have little nipples on those tires. You got to milk them, otherwise they get real mad.
Yeah, it'll start sloshing around, and you get horrible traction in the winter. Because as we know,
it gets too heavy.
Yeah, things expand and contract based on the seasons.
That's true. Based on the seasons. That's the way of putting it.
That's it.
It's contracting season.
Oh, there goes my knee. It's contracting season.
It must be contracting season. My knees.
My knee's acting up again. My knee shrunk to half its size. It's contracting season.
Did you feed the fuel demon? Because if you don't feed the fuel demon, then the car won't start. It won't go. It's a no-no on the go-go.
It's a no-no on the go-go. You got to feed that fuel demon. That's right.
Yeah. Do you speak Infernal? Because
did you charge your headlights before you went to bed last night?
Hope so.
Because if not, those are.
Did you replace them with the fireflies?
Right, those are lithium batteries. They drain.
Those are lithium fireflies.
Those are lithium fireflies. It's nanotechnology. That's nanobots.
Nanotechnology. Yeah, it's like you can't see them. They're that small, but they generate light.
There are trillions.
They die very quickly.
Yeah, there are trillions of them in there, and you've got about every week you have to go in and cycle them out.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just not going to go.
Then
well.
You can't see.
Yeah. Is your fart pipe all cleaned out? Otherwise, it's going to get clogged up, and then let me tell you, the fuel demon is going to be real pissed if that fart pipe's not cleaned. I think we did it, Justin. I think we nailed it.
I think we taught someone about cars.
Yeah, that's right. We taught them how to lie. I'm teaching you how to lie. And
maybe
lie
that's it. I think you and I would teach someone about how to just commit when you don't know what you're talking about.
Commit, or just be like, man, these old people are full of shit. You know, they're a bunch of liars. You know, teach them not to trust the world.
Yeah.
You know, we'll say this is an experience of don't believe everything you read online. There you go.
Right.
That's what you just learned. You know,
dude, it's fucking getting rough. Did you hear? We typically don't
Let's
like
do
to get political, but did you hear about that John Fetterman? What happened? He's the Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
it's Fetterman.
Senator.
Right? Yeah, So there's a Democratic senator who is, I guess, in some. Bob something. And
I know who this is. Bob Menendez.
Bob Menendez. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so now that Santos has been ousted, he's doing cameos now.
Cameo.
And so Fetterman paid $200 to have Santos do a cameo addressed to Bob, saying basically, like,
I think it was Bob Menendez's son.
What?
I think he had George Santos. He's got cameo to Bob Menendez's son, asking him why he hasn't resigned.
Well, yeah. Either way, like, I was listening, and I'm like, this is why it's so hard to trust anything online, because before all of this broke open around 2017, 2016, you would read that and go, there's no way that's possible. There's no way that's true.
Right.
No way a senator did that. And now we just live in a fucking circus. We live in a goddamn circus, and it's impossible. It's getting harder and harder to know what's true and what's an Onion article come to life.
Yeah, it's pretty wild sometimes, the headlines that you read. And Seth posted this in the channel not that long ago. Where was it? Let me see if I can find it. It was when Henry Kissinger died. He took there was competing headlines right next to each other in his Google search, and they were very distinctly different from one another.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find it here real quick. Here we go. Yeah. One of them from Rolling Stone says, Henry Kissinger, war criminal beloved by America's ruling class, finally dies. Right next to one from CNN that says, Henry Kissinger, a dominating and polar force in U.S. foreign politics, dies at 100. Very distinct language in those two.
Oh, God, I love it.
The finally dies part is what gets me. He's finally dead at 100.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I listened to some of the my favorite late night the late night hosts that are a little bit lean more into the political, and just some of the stuff they had to say about him was just marvelous. And
then the Onion had a headline that said, "Iconic napalm rights advocate dead at 100."
That's fantastic. I'm telling you, man. When we were back in like that, I feel like when we were back in college, that was the heyday of.
Yeah.
We're not the heyday. It was still a high time for the Onion, and they were still publishing papers. And I always remember going around and pulling a paper before I went to class and actually reading the stuff in the Onion, and it was marvelous. And I lost track of it for a while, and then I started following them on Instagram again. And their headlines are just they're wonderful. Their staff of writers over there are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's unparalleled, the kind of stuff that they're able to conjure up and
to get away with,
do on a regular basis. It's so well done.
Yeah.
I constantly find myself laughing. There's another one called Hard Drive News.
Okay.
That also does a lot of great stuff. They do kind of like video game stuff, but also like political things as well. And their headlines are satirical and amazing all the time. Like, it always tickles me, the stuff that they come up with. So very well done. I'm always impressed at the kind of stuff that they're able to pull off.
Yeah, it's sad, like I said, though, that the actual news is becoming living, breathing headlines from those types of institutions, we'll say.
Yeah, it's exhausting,
it really
to say the
is.
least. It's exhausting and it's embarrassing, and it's a goddamn show. And the crazy part is, most of Americans, because that's all I can speak for, don't pay attention to this. Like, they don't know.
They don't take the time to vet.
No, well, what I mean is also like what's going on.
Oh, just being aware of it.
In
you're
news,
saying.
Yeah. They're just tuned out. They don't really know what's up, and then they'll probably be like, "Oh shit, it's election." And I was this person, so I can definitely do this.
Yeah.
I try not to be that person now. I'm pretty active with listening to news and things like that, but a lot of people are just like, "Hey man, I'm just trying to get by every day," and that's also pretty scary. Because it sucks to be consumed by news every single day because it's fucking depressing and it's sad.
It is,
and
yeah.
it's like watching the stock market and just looking at like 5-minute charts and just seeing what's happening every 5 minutes. And you're just like, oh my God, look at the ups and the downs. It's like that every day. You're like, oh, we're up and oh boy, we're really down today. And it's just, there's a lot of tough stuff going on. And having that much access to information comes at a cost to your mental health and to your emotional stuff. And a lot of times, like, I want to be aware, but I also have to tell myself there's only so much I can do. I can't physically do much to change a lot of this stuff. I can absolutely be aware. I can donate if I have to. I can, spend time. I can do that sort of stuff. But
lend my
outside
voice
of
if it's
that,
necessary, whatever. Like,
and then but at the end of the day too, I also have to be like, I need to focus on my family, my community. But it also makes me sad when I think about that because you hear stories going on about some of the really rough stuff in the world. I'm like, that could be here. You know what I mean?
Easily,
like that could happen. That could happen anywhere. We just happen to be in a spot where it's not happening.
Right.
And so it's really easy to be like, well, that's not happening here. Anyway, let's watch this football game. Can you believe Florida State didn't make it into the college playoffs? That's crazy. Like that dominates, whatever. And it's pretty depressing to know that, there's people that don't have homes right now.
Yeah.
Or there's wars taking place or the fucking volcanoes erupting and all sorts of shit. Earthquakes shattering countries and whatever, and we're just like, man.
Well, it's a
they were 13-0 and Alabama was 12-1, yet still they just favor the SEC. This is bullshit,
It's a double-edged sword because I feel like with the 24-hour news cycle, which I feel like we have the idea of the concept of the 24-hour news cycle, we have rocketed past that. It's now somehow we've packed more because of the amount of sources now where you can consume information. It feels like we've packed 48 hours into 24 hours. Like I don't even know what to call it now. It is some other multi-headed beast altogether. But I feel like
maybe like a Hydra.
No, that sounds made up. We'll get there. Maybe like a Medusa's head scalp. Maybe like the split ends of a Medusa's. Yeah? No? Okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
that works.
It is its own Hydra at this point. Because again, like I was saying, double-edged sword though, because there's so much that we didn't have to used to be subjected to. We would get our news at in the morning and in the evening. We'd read it in the paper. Maybe there was breaking news that broke in during the day. Fighting erupted in Israel, Gaza. Like that would have kind of broken in, and like we'll follow more at 11 or something like that. And we could go about our day. But at the same time, how lucky are we that we do get to see everything that's going on? Like we are able to follow this almost to a consume, like allowing yourself to be consumed by it level, and you can the amount of reporting that's happening on what is going on over there, and so you can actually form these things of being like, man, I had no idea it was so bad. What can I do to help? So it's this weird double-edged sword where it educates you into things that you've never been given this much access to, but at the same time is this much unfettered access healthy because you can lose yourself to it. So it's
tough. It's interesting because I think, I used to think, back in, olden times, early, let's say, late 1700s or whatever, when people got mail like once a month.
Right.
And it was a big deal. The movie The Patriot, classic, just, guilty pleasure for me, that movie. But there's a part early on in the movie, like it starts with, this family on this plantation in South Carolina, like there's a mail rider and everyone about creams their jeans because they're like, the mail's here. Right. Like it's such a big deal because they don't have any news and they get it. And they're like, the teenage boys are like staring at the mail. Like, we want to open it. They're like, wait for father.
Right.
Father will be the one that opens it. And they're just like pretending to read or paint their little figurines, or like their dad kind of looks at it and just kind of walks past. He's like, so what's in the mail? They get up and they run over. They start ripping open stuff to be like, what's in the mail? Yeah. Like they couldn't wait to find out information about stuff. And it made me think about how, misinformation must have really propagated because you didn't have much, you had word of mouth primarily and,
you couldn't,
whatnot.
You couldn't verify with like two sources.
Right. It's like, yeah, you'd have different things. It was obviously a lot of bias and things like that. And today it's not a whole lot different. It's just more complicated, right? Because anyone can post anything anywhere. And the production value of a lot of stuff, that comes out makes people seem authoritative without them having any or stating any credentials. My favorite thing right now is rich people who are talking, basically they're doing math on little videos for you. They're like, if sleep is a lie. I don't think you need sleep.
Yeah.
I don't think you need sleep. I mean, 4 hours of sleep a day. You know why? Because that means I have 20 hours, a day to be productive. And if you stack that up over a week and then over a month, they're like showing you like, look, I can do math.
I have 2 days
or someone's
for
like,
every 1 day you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I've learned too, and there's another guy was like, for me to make $400,000 a year, that means I need to make X amount of dollars a month, X amount of dollars a week. That breaks down to X amount of dollars a day. And if you break it down by hour, it's X amount of dollars by hour, and that's X amount of dollars a minute. And I'm like, cool. Congrats. You use the calculator on your phone to divide by the appropriate amounts, showing us that you know the value of time.
Right.
And I'm like, but you're not taking into account. I'm like, okay, but when do you sleep? Because that should factor into the equation because you're not awake 24 hours a day. But also what I learned is like, and there's this really bad one too that I saw. This guy who... It was bad. He goes, when I look back on, early America, and just working really hard, the way I look at it is like, if the slaves could do it, I could do it too. And I'm like,
what?
I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, man, they worked all the time,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I was like, what? And of course, white guy saying this. He was like, I'm thinking to myself, if they could work hard, I could work hard too. And this guy that was like reacting to it goes, okay, well,
oh my God,
a lot of problems here, but also, I can't wait to make $20 million so I can work 20 hours a day.
Right.
Hooray. I thought wealth was supposed to free you from the binds of like your daily life. But that's kind of the stuff that I see from these guys. It's the idea of this grind culture, which we kind of talked about last week with bad advice. And the idea that if you're not grinding every single day, you're failing.
Right.
Like you're weak. And I'm like, listen, man, I've learned there's a limit to what I want to put up with on a job because I don't want to be consumed by that.
Right.
And for the longest time, I'm like, I'm lazy. I must just be a lazy guy. That's just in my bones or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm actually pretty happy.
Yeah.
Pretty happy with my life. Pretty happy with my family. We have a stable income. I don't have to worry about a lot of things. I'm like, I'm doing fine. Like, I don't need to crank out, $1 million a year.
It's so funny.
You know what I mean?
I just heard, and it's to put a nice cap on that. Like you were saying, like it's these people who are so out of touch with reality, just the example that one individual used. I'm like, there are so many levels on which that is so out of touch and so tone deaf, and he doesn't even like it in his mind. Somehow this was this wonderful analogy of this wonderful example that he was giving, and anyone has that platform to give this advice now, and it is just it's horrifying. I mean, you and I have a platform. We should not have this. We should not be. We have nothing of value to say. We should not be allowed to tell people what we're thinking.
Thanks for being here. Like and subscribe. But I agree with you because the thing is, especially in like the health and fitness world.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
That is just full of bullshitters, man, and people who are just hawking their wares, hawking their supplements, telling you that they'll go to, I hate the grocery store ones. We're like, let's go to the grocery store and look at the ingredients and describe why everything is bad. And they're such fucking hypocrites. And they start like hawking these companies that they're affiliated with, but they don't tell you that they're affiliated with or whatever. And the thing is, like, it's too easy to believe. It's too easy to believe because I don't understand how the fucking human body works. No. I don't understand nutrition that well at all. I try to lean on people that, I'm like, that makes sense. I should do that and whatever. But when you have these fucking people that are just hawking their shit, It's too easy
Yeah.
to follow. And honestly, when I look back, I'm like, this really isn't that different from the 1700s.
No.
There's still bullshit out there.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more access to that
The
bullshit.
amount of it, yeah.
And for some reason, I thought with the advent of more like access, I felt, and maybe I'm wrong, and I could be wrong because maybe in my youth I didn't feel like there was this much bullshit out there, but I think it just wasn't as much. Like there were bullshit websites. We learned how to tell what a bullshit website was, and they were pretty easy to spot. Very easy to spot. Very obvious that they were bullshit websites. And nowadays,
Before they were sophisticated.
yeah, nowadays it's like I said, you put in, you have a decent camera, you can use your phone, decent lighting, you have decent editing, which is really easy to access, whatever. You can look fucking legit, man. You put a green screen behind you, make it seem like you're sitting at a news desk or something like that. I mean, you can.
If you speak with
that's
authority.
the whole point of. Yeah, if you're like, I sleep 4 hours a night, and food, people say food gives you energy. No, the way you get energy is by choosing to have energy. And I was like, excuse me, sir. I beg your pardon. Food doesn't give you energy. Sleep doesn't give you energy. You ever realize, like, when you oversleep, you actually feel more tired? I'm like, that doesn't mean sleep's bad, man. That doesn't mean it's bad. Just, I don't know, man. I have a real issue with the idea of grind culture and how we need to be doing this every single fucking day.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you're a fucking loser. You're a beta cuck loser, and you should be lucky that you have a wife that's not getting stolen by one of these guys and fucked all the time because you're a fucking loser.
Yeah. The alphas. It's so funny. I just saw Instagram a reel today that was talking about the grind culture, and it was I don't know if this would be considered a parable or not, but the example was it's the story of the fisherman, and there was this guy who went on vacation who was taken out by a fisherman, and he was talking to him about what he does, and the fisherman's like, I fish for a couple hours in the morning, then I come home, I sell my fish, and I go spend time with my family, and the businessman was like, well, if you stayed on the water longer, you could catch more fish and you could make more money. And he goes, well, why would I want to do that? He goes, well, then if you make enough money, then you can hire people to come out with you and you can make even more fish, catch even more fish and sell them and make even more money. Well, why would I do that? Well, then eventually you can incorporate and you can start a canning business and this and this and this. And it kind of keeps going on and on and on and up and up and up. And he goes, and then by that point, you're making, millions of dollars and you're the CEO of this company. And he goes, well, why would I want to do all that? And he goes, well, then when you're the CEO, you've got everyone working for you. Then you can, go out, fish in the morning and then come home and spend time with your family. He's like, right, where I am now. And it's the idea of you kind of return to where you started a lot of the time. And it's the grind culture is this cyclical thing that never really pushes you forward. It just kind of makes you look busy. It makes you're running in place.
If I was going to subscribe to a conspiracy theory. It would be something to do with capitalism and the bullshit sort of methodology and the indoctrination that they put into folks, basically telling them, like, if you don't work and provide an output, then you have no value.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely. In this place. And to some degree that's true, right? If you don't have money and resources, your options are limited.
We don't operate on trade anymore. I can't go catch some animals and sell pelts.
Yeah. Although, also, some of that's become nebulous, right? Like, there's people that make money being influencers.
Well, that's right, exactly. And they'll teach you. You can make money being an influencer, teaching people how to go trap and sell pelts, like the Beaver King of Tribor.
Exactly. Yeah. God, God's be praised, the Beaver King of Tribor.
He is a huge influencer in Baldur's Gate.
Huge deal. And you know what? That guy, sure as shit, is gonna hunt all the beavers that he needs to, and then he's coming home to his place to make the hide armor. He sure as shit ain't incorporating. No. He ain't doing that.
No, he's got plenty of time to spend with his family.
That's right. Yeah. And by family, it's his taxidermy animals that, he's named that watch over his tent.
This one's Margaret. Yeah. This one's Chester. He's
And then there's Cornelius.
He's a bad
the wiliest of the bunch. Right.
He knows what he did. He's in timeout.
Yeah. That's right. That's why he faces the back of the tent in the corner, because he knows what he did. You can't talk like that. Not here.
Not here.
You can't be racist here. In the woods, you do what you got to do, but here, you watch your language, Cornelius.
This is a civilized household, Cornelius.
All right? This town, we rely on this town for income. You cannot talk to people that way. Damn it!
But you were saying about influencers. Sorry to derail you.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No, the idea that, I grew up with the idea of too of like, I got, it's like the idea of like, I got to get good grades. I got to study so I can go to college so I can get a good job so I can make money. And then you get sucked into the whole whirlwind of like, for me, it was the corporate culture of like, I really want to provide. I want to give all my effort. I want to be there. I want to do this. I want to do a good job. I want people to think that I have value so that they can look at me for other opportunities, that I can then earn more money. And then I will then have worth. And I remember feeling like such a piece of shit when I worked at the hotel.
Yeah.
And going to see one of my friends from college and his, fiance, now wife. I met her family and they're like, they're asking us what we do. And like, my friend is like a goddamn physical therapist. His wife, physical therapist, Jill, HR manager, me. I work at a fucking front desk at a hotel. Yeah. I feel like such a piece of shit.
I was like, I know that feeling.
I was like, I feel like such a piece of shit. I felt so just like, I went to school for music business and it's not working out, man. I'm at a hotel and I can't fucking get out of there, not to save my life. No one will take me. No one will take me. And you feel like shit, and that sort of stuff. And I hate the way that's how we view people. We view people by how much money do you make? Who fucking cares?
Right.
Like, would I love another 100, 200 grand? Sure. That just means more options.
Yeah.
But what's the cost of making that much more money?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because at some point, I don't want that because that's going to come with a huge fucking responsibility.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want that responsibility. It depends. If you told me we're doing this full time, all the time, okay, that's different, because I see people like the serial entrepreneurs, right? Like they get involved with something and they want to do it. Great. That's fine. Go do that. Go do your thing.
Right.
And whatever. But the idea that there's this perception that you have to be hustling or you're a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. If you're not grinding every single day to get that dollar, I'm like, boy, that sounds gross.
Yeah.
That sounds like a real gross thing because who benefits from that most of the time?
Corporations.
This is where the conspiracy theory comes in. The corporations.
Let me tell you about it. Big brother, okay?
The fucking banks. I feel like Bill Burr. It's the goddamn banks.
It's the goddamn banks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that as you and I are, I feel like I have been in this mentality for a while. You have joined me recently in this thinking, but
I have.
But it's the idea that. And I think this is an idea that a lot of people who are in the a generation or two above us don't quite latch on to because they were so indoctrinated in the other way of thinking of that gold watch that we talked about last week. But the idea that you may be loyal to this company will replace you in a cocaine heartbeat. They will not give a flying fuck about replacing you. You are a number to them. You do not matter. It doesn't matter how loyal you've been. Loyalty only goes one way when it comes to corporations. And I'm sorry, those people who think otherwise and who are like, well, no, not my. I beg to differ. You have 2 or 3 bad quarters in a row, and let's talk.
Well, not that you could have good quarters and still get laid off. Look at Spotify.
Right.
They just laid off 17% of their employee base. And this is the 3rd time this year they've laid people off. And last quarter, they had a windfall of revenue, 70 million. And they sure as shit aren't paying the artists, and they're fucking laying their employees off because they overhired during the pandemic, and now they're trying to realign stuff. It's like, but you just had an amazing quarter.
Right. You've been you're more profitable than you've ever been.
And you're not paying you're putting in more restrictions on paying the artists.
Are they really? I didn't hear that.
You have to get at least 1,000 streams a month to even be considered for any sort of fraction of a penny payout. You know what I mean? I don't know if you saw the message from Weird Al.
I was just looking up Weird Al. Thank you. Yeah, on the Spotify Wrapped. Yeah, I'll be depositing.
It was amazing.
The $12. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, thank you, because he listed out all the plays that he got
for 80 million streams, and he got paid $12.
$12. He goes, thanks for the sandwich, because that's basically what he said he was going to use for.
Yeah, that's right.
To buy that.
That's right.
80 million streams, $12 fucking dollars. That's absurd.
It's absurd. So yeah, there's no possible way that someone like goddamn Austin Reno Everyone go check him out because he needs your
potion
support.
seller, baby.
But there's no way someone like him would as good as he is, he's never going to hit 80 million streams in like the next few years. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully he does.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm wrong.
But even if he does, it's fucking $12.
But it's $12. I mean, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
So this is not a viable. It sucks. Yeah, because Spotify's, like you said, raking in the money hand over fist. And so they've got a bunch of people doing the grind culture for them. They're like these artists who are like, I just want to be seen. I want to be known. And Spotify's like, that's great. You come on our platform, people will find you. You got it.
Well,
we got you, kid.
And also, like, certain podcasts and whatever, have really pulled in the stuff for him. The Joe Rogans of the world, those kind of things.
Yeah. And of course, he made the payday, $100 million. Of
course he did, because he made they wanted him that bad that they were willing to pay him for that. So whereas like some of these artists and these big names who just exist and they're just like, yeah, sure, well, even the Taylor Swift, I'm sure she doesn't make shit.
I would be very curious to see how much did Taylor Swift make from Spotify.
Yeah, that stuff just frustrates me.
Taylor Swift. What? That can't be right.
What?
Multiple sources are reporting this. Rolling Stone, Billboard, People. Taylor Swift is estimated to earn, she's over $100 million from Spotify this year.
I wonder if she brokered some sort of deal with them.
Wow. Yeah, okay. I mean, she's got to be.
Or she's just streaming at a rate that's unheard of.
Like,
what I mean?
Look,
I mean, she is one of the most popular. So
that would make sense. Yeah. Swift racked up 26.1 billion streams globally since January 1st. So I don't know. You do that math. That's
more? Yeah. I mean,
what's the? I don't even know what they get paid. I
think half a cent per stream.
Well, I guess we could back calculate it. Like, we could be those guys. We could do the math, Doug.
We don't need to do that.
Right?
We don't need to do that. I'm sure this is really interesting to everyone that's listening and watching right now. It's like, let's watch Doug and Justin do some math and figure out how much Taylor Swift made streaming on Spotify, when it literally tells us in an article how much they made. We're going to fact check
Let's show the math.
Show us your work.
I was just looking around for my phone to do it, and I realized I'm recording on the damn thing. So too bad. I can't do it, guys.
Yeah, it's fine. It is whatever. But yeah, so long story short, I don't know. I think we're in a weird place. And like you said, you definitely have been in this mindset. I just recently got there. I think the pandemic shifted my perspective on a lot of things. Yep. Made me really realize what's important. And, I love my job. I love my company. I love my team. Yep. I love my manager. But I love my life and my family more. So that's where my priorities are. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a job that's not incredibly stressful.
It doesn't demand your life. Like they're saying, like you pay tribute to us by giving us part of your, give us a limb.
I've done that. I've put in my time doing those things, and you've been at jobs at the time happy to do it. Yeah. I was happy to do it because I thought that's what mattered. I thought there was some sort of honor in it by doing it, and
you'll be rewarded, in Valhalla for your sacrifice.
Exactly, because that was always the idea, right? That we live in a full-on meritocracy, but that's not necessarily the case, And I don't know. Things kind of worked out for me in a lot of ways. I think part of that was that what I was trying to do is I think I did have some strong attributes that showcased my capabilities, but I got lucky. But I saw some people that weren't lucky too, that just got stuck in places and they didn't have the ability to move because they didn't make much money.
Right.
So they were fucking stuck there. That's one thing I've learned, like from people talking, like wealth affords you the ability of options. Yes. If you don't want to do something, maybe you can pay someone to do it for you.
Absolutely.
Whereas some people are like, fuck it, I can't do this or whatever, I have to do it this way. People that have wealth can be like, I don't know, I have lots of options to overcome this obstacle.
Right.
And they don't have to worry about it. And that is, it brings you peace of mind to know that you're like, yeah, fuck it,
yeah.
I'll just pay someone to do that,
Or if I don't work for a while, it's okay. I can sit and figure out my next move. Not everyone can figure out the next move.
I can invest in something that work boots that are actually more expensive that will last longer than a cheap pair of boots that will wear out quicker and actually cost me more money over time, because I can't afford to buy the more expensive boots right now that will actually, be worthwhile. I've listened to some stuff where actually they talk about how being poor actually costs.
Oh,
is very expensive.
For sure. I fully believe
that people have to take, yeah, it's totally true. And I was watching this, I think it was on some more news. They did a whole episode on how they broke it down about how all the shit about being poor, like how much it cost you and how rough it was. And it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, I never knew this. This is absolutely crazy. And it really opened my eyes to the idea of, just even having, like, there's a certain level, like once you get past it, you're in the clear and you have more options. Then other people are like, I'm stuck here because I literally can't pay off, like, they have to go and get, payday loans, or they have to go and get, whatever, these predatory things that just basically keep them pushed down, and there's nothing they can do about it. And it fucking sucks,
I'm more. Are you picking me up right now?
Yeah.
In real time? Okay, good. For a moment there was a really bad lag between us.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a moment you kind of glitched out, but I didn't stop. I kept going.
No, I heard everything you said, and I didn't want to interrupt it because it was wonderfully
said.
You
looked horrified.
I was.
I
was testing speed. Mm-hmm. That's what we do here.
Yeah, we test speed.
We test speeds. Yeah.
This is good speed.
Speaking of the elites, Doug.
Yeah.
Hollywood. Am I
Hollywood. Right? The most unhinged and disconnected of all of us.
And God, would I like to be part of that.
Please let me in the door.
Please let me into your club. I'll do it. I don't care. If I'm loyal to them, then I'll get. This is the company that I'm. This is the big conglomeration that I'm okay selling my soul for. You just got to find the one that makes sense to you. That's really all it is.
I guess.
No, there was an article that I had sent you from Variety, and it was Vanity Fair, and it was the best movies of 2023. Vanity Fair's chief critic lists the best movies of chef critic lists the best movies of 2023 from past lives and May December to Poor Things. So this came out end of November. What I found interesting about this list was one of the first things you said when I sent it to you. And do you remember what that was? Your first comment?
I don't remember.
You said, I don't know any of these movies.
Ah, yes.
So a list.
I said a lot of things.
A list from a reputable site, of the best movies of 2023, and two guys who are arguably pretty versed in movies, entertainment, what comes out. We kind of keep our finger on the pulse. Doug knew none of these. I think I knew 8 of the 20, maybe.
I knew like 2, I think.
Oh, that's right.
2,
we saw Blue
3.
Beetle and something. Yeah, but regardless, the point being, it just was kind of a shocker. So we were kind of talking about it a little bit more, and I had posed the question to Doug, are lists like this still relevant? Because I'll precursor this with, these used to be huge pre-pandemic because everything was based on box office. Everyone knew, like, okay, everyone knows what came out in the theaters. For some reason, it was in the front of everyone's mind, and these lists were basically what crushed at the box office and what did okay but was really artistically done. These lists meant now the fact that this list comes out and we don't know any of these movies or a minimal amount of these movies, I would say, are these lists, these best of lists, relevant anymore? Do you think that these things hold the same weight that they used to hold?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
I do. I changed my opinion.
Great.
The last time we spoke. Because, as we talked about, because there's so many different streaming services and shit like that, before we just had the one thing, which was like the movies. We had the movie theaters.
Right, yeah.
So there's one avenue for these things to come through. And there were TV shows, but now it's like there's Netflix only movies, there's Amazon Prime only movies, there's like Apple TV Plus movies. And it's like, I don't fucking know. And because some of these are released in theaters, some of them aren't.
Right.
So to find them, it's hard to find them. So I'd actually argue that these lists may be pretty useful in a lot of ways because there's so many ways for this stuff to get released to the public that you might need some guidance. Like I knew I think 3, I'd say 2.5 movies on this list of 21. And I have not heard of any of the other ones. I'm like, I don't know what any of this shit is.
Yeah.
And the trick with this stuff too is like you also have to trust the critic because there's some critics that are like, they have just like anyone. Like you have friends, family who are like, dude, you got to watch this movie. I'm like, I know you, and that means a no for me.
Exactly.
Because when you say you really like something, I don't think our tastes are aligned, so I'm going to pass.
Right.
But you also have people that when they suggest something for you, you're like, all right, I trust your tastes and I trust your suggestions, so I'm going to check it out. So I think it's the same thing for critics where they're like, Drew is a good example. Like Drew is his tastes and my tastes, I think, are pretty different from one another.
I would say that's true.
And a lot of stuff that he likes is a lot more artsy, which is fine and everything like that. And, there's some things that he's super into that I'm like, eh. I mean, I heard that Seth told me about how Drew basically roped him into watching Lars von Trier's Antichrist. And Seth was like,
this wasn't recently, was it?
It was a few years ago when that movie came out, and Seth's like, I didn't like that movie at all. He's like, I still have nightmares from that film.
Willem Dafoe cuts his penis off.
Yeah, well, he doesn't, but that was during Lars von Trier's.
He fully committed to that role. Like that was Willem Dafoe has no penis right now.
I feel like that doesn't have, like, I don't know. I read the synopsis just the other day because I'm like, I remember hearing about it. One part in particular I heard, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to see this movie. I don't need to. Is when basically, because the film is Willem Dafoe plays a character named He, and his wife plays a character in the moon called She. And in the film, she's giving him a hand job, and then she stomps on his balls and then finishes him off, and he ejaculates blood. And I was like, yeah, I don't need to see this movie. I'm good.
I take that back. Did he? I don't know if he cut his own dick off or if she cut her clit off.
She did that.
That's what it was. I apologize. Yeah. And that was faked because Willem Dafoe would have committed to that.
He would have, absolutely. So that's not my. I wouldn't watch it, and I sure shit wouldn't watch it again with a friend. You know what I mean? Like,
all this to say, opposite,
different structure, different folks.
Exactly, opposite end of the taste spectrum for sure. Yeah. I do. Yeah, that movie was interesting, but.
A fox that says chaos reigns, like.
I love the idea that Drew and Seth are sitting on a couch and Drew's doing that thing where he's looking over. He's like, "What? Watch this part." And just looking over at Seth.
And Seth's just like, "Can we just watch some fucking Attack on Titan?" Like, I want to watch Demon Hunter.
But I do agree that you need to trust the critic because even the whoever's writing the article because there's a lot that goes into taste because this list is very, if you go through this outside of a few like the Blue Beetles on here, which shocked the fuck out of me. I did not expect to see that one on here. But a lot of the rest of these are very similar in either tone or theme or aesthetic or like you can kind of tell this person has a style of film that they're drawn to recommend, which is great. And if you like that, one of the things that I was surprised at was that Barbie was not on this or a few lists that we dove into, and you were surprised that the Spider-Verse was not on. So again,
fuck. No. Let's pause there for a second. Fuck all y'all. How is Across the Spider-Verse not on? I'm not saying it has to be on all the lists, but at least 90%.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is fucking phenomenal. Like, what are we doing here? Like, and if we're just saying, like, I'm not into superheroes, yeah, fuck that. This film is so well animated. It's such a solid story. It's well voice acted. Like, I mean, get fucked. If you're gonna put Blue Beetle on there, and I haven't seen Blue Beetle, but if you're gonna say Blue Beetle's great, fucking Across the Spider-Verse is great. All right. You make the list 22. All right. I don't even give a shit if Spider-Verse is 22. Put it on your fucking list.
Show some respect,
Richard Lawson. Come on. Give me a fucking break.
But
Justin, what are some movies of 2023 from your perspective that you've seen this year?
Oh man, the thing is, I haven't watched a lot of new films. I have caught up on some films from the last couple of years. So
okay, well, Justin's watch list from 2023.
Justin's watch.
What do you?
Well, I think we can just go back and look at all the things that I've been recommending because as I watch them, they tend to go on the recommend list here. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I will say this too. I have been watching a lot of series. I've very much dove, and I feel like I'm starting to kind of come back. The pendulum swinging back into movies now. There's just been so many really fucking good series that I've wanted to get through, and I've been making my way through those. I will say the Mission Impossible franchise was quite enjoyable. I did spend some time this year watching all of those, so that was cool. But
I don't think I've seen 5, and I haven't seen 6 yet, but I've seen up through 4. Excluding 2, because I'm not doing 2.
And you haven't seen 7 yet either, then?
Wait, 7 came out? I can't remember.
7 was the one that just came out. 8 is the one coming out next. Yeah.
Okay. I thought 6 came out this year, but apparently I'm wrong. So I haven't seen 5 or 6.
Okay.
So, or 7.
I would say, so. I believe, I think 4 is my favorite. And 7 was, no, 5 was.
They all run together at this point.
Yeah, this is the problem with watching them in sequence like this is that it's kind of the same movie over and over again.
Yeah, it is.
Except the first 2, I would say, very, very unique in how they were shot. But
and stakes.
We won't go back into that. Yes. But I think now that we've been talking about it, I do think that I'm coming back around to your new way of thinking it, in that there is such a plethora of stuff out there. There is so fucking much that it gets really hard to be like, okay, well, what can I watch? Because there's stuff that I'll see, like trailers that drop for coming up on Netflix in like 2 or 3 months, and I'm like, oh, I would really like to see that, and then I fucking forget about it because Netflix doesn't advertise outside of like. They don't do on Apple TV. They don't allow their stuff to come up in the what's up next. So unless you're in the Netflix app, but there is even in that one app, there's an ungodly amount of content, and it's so hard to find stuff. If it's not in that top carousel, forget it. It's impossible to find. So lists like this I can see their benefit. I feel like it's a different kind of benefit now. Like where it used to be just like, here's the ones to see before Oscar season comes out. Most of these aren't going to be in contention for any awards, but they're really good pieces of cinema that you should probably take a look at if you're into these, styles of films.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. These definitely seem like more artsy films, which is fine. Again, like, I don't know, I've watched a couple of artsy films recently, A24 films. I mean, man, A24's got a fucking lane, and they own it.
They own it.
They're like a good version of Vegas in the fact that like we know what we are, we own this, and you know what you get when you come here. We know why you're here.
Yeah.
Like sit down, relax, enjoy yourself. When I see the A24 logo, I'm immediately like, tell me more. What do you got here?
Oh, yeah. That's the thing is that they've done a really good job positioning themselves to the fact where you're like, it's A24? There's an 80% chance that I'll be into it.
This will be interesting.
Yes.
You're going to get something interesting out of this. It's going to be unique.
Exactly.
And it's going to be a unique story is what you're going to see here. So that's what I like about that brand. I get excited whenever I see anything from them.
I'm just trying to go back through some of these other lists and see what has come out that I've seen this year that's newer. And Barbie and Oppenheimer are two that do spring to mind. And I enjoyed both of them very much.
I haven't seen either of those. I really want to see them both. Yeah. But I'm also just like, I didn't get to the theater, and I just want to see them whenever they come on streaming, whenever the fuck
Oppenheimer's
that will be.
Out for rental right now.
Yeah, I know you can buy it. And it's for rental. Yeah. I'm waiting for it to come on to streaming. So
just straight up like on one of the services you pay for. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sure it's good, but I'm also like reluctant just to go out straight up buy it because I did that with my recommendation for this week, which was Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was $10 on Apple TV. I'm like, this seems like one that I'm going to buy and I'm probably going to enjoy. And I was right. It was fucking great.
I was so happy because that one that's a journey.
That one's right up my alley.
That one's like
as far
goddamn
as
journey.
Yeah.
The Daniels, I don't know what the fuck I don't know how they came up with that, but good Lord.
What a great story.
They had a vision and they executed it.
That's what's beautiful about things like that is you can be as weird as you want.
Yeah.
As long as you have a solid story.
Yep.
in there because that story is very simple.
Yeah, and it's relatable.
It's very, very simple.
It's just
incredibly relatable.
And on multiple levels, because you could look at it as the relationship between a child or parent, or you can drill down specifically between a mother and a daughter, or drill down and specifically culturally drill down. Like, there's so many different angles that it fucking works on.
Or zoom out and just be like, where's my place in this world?
Or exactly,
you know,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, what's my, you know, what's whatever. And it's just, and surrounding, just enveloping that like a nice warm hug is just pure insanity. And it's the goddamn best, and I loved it so much. And there's been a couple movies. I think most of the movies that I've taken a chance on with that, I have not been disappointed. Another one I did with that was The Northman.
That was the Viking one with the Skarsgård?
Yeah, that one was definitely way more artsy than I thought it was going to be, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was very, very good. But I was like, I had heard nothing but good things about Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I'm like, I'm just going to buy this one. It's on sale for $10. Let's do it. Let's buy it.
Yeah.
And was not disappointed. But I'm kind of with you, too. I'm thinking of the movies that I've seen in 2023. Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse sticks out. The new Ninja Turtles movie. I don't remember what I saw earlier in the year. I feel like...
You know what I need to start doing? And Drew is amazing at using this, but I need to start using Letterboxd. He posts on Instagram all the time. Jamie Direct talks about how much she's gaga over this. Like, it's her favorite social media networking site. Basically, you can like log the movies that you see. You can give them a review, and then you can follow other people. Like, I could follow Drew, and I see like, oh, what's he recommend? What's he seeing? And I'd be like, oh, I wanted to see that one, and you can. So it's a film networking site or a social media site. But I started to do it when we started to do our recommendations. I was like, oh, I'm just going to log everything in here, and then I always forget to open up the thing and make a review. So I run to our Google Doc, and I do that instead. But I feel like that'd be a really good way to clock what you've watched this year. Drew's is robust. He's really doing a great job posting. Yeah.
And I do too, but I just as far as theater goes, I've only been to the theater a handful of times this year. Like, I know Ninja Turtles, Spider-Verse. I think I went another time, but I can't remember. And for what?
Super Mario? Was that last year?
Super Mario. I went for Super Mario with Natalie. Because when I go now, it's mostly with Natalie.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't gone by myself in a while, actually. So
what movies were released in 2023? I'm just typing that in.
I'm sure it'll be like
Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That one. That was. I take it back. That was probably my favorite one of the year.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Very cool.
John Wick 4. Ghosted. Ghosted was so good.
Ghosted. With
Chris Evans and Anna de Armas. It was.
That's right.
It wasn't great.
That was on Apple TV, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is, like, I remember hearing about it, but it was specifically, released on a certain platform.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. Yeah. So again, overall, I think these lists are useful. It'd almost be great. It's like, these are the best movies released on Netflix. These are the best ones released on Apple TV.
Honestly, that's the kind of list you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just breaking it down just all together. Because it's just hard to know like where the stuff shows. Because that's the other thing too, is like, there's a couple of Netflix specific films that I would love to purchase, but I can't because Netflix doesn't sell that stuff. You have to be subscribed to their service to get it, which makes sense, right? That's kind of the point. But
would you like to purchase them because at some point you could see yourself canceling your subscription, or?
I just want to have it as part of my film stuff that I just own.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to have it there. Like, and if I did cancel my subscription, it kind of sucked to be like, well,
can't watch.
If I ever wanted to watch that movie again,
right? I
can't. And that's the whole point of their service, is to make that stuff exclusive to those kinds of things. So, I get it, but I'm also like, there's just a handful of movies on there that I'm like, this is a good fucking movie, and I'd really like to own it.
Yeah.
One of them's called The King, starring Timothée Chalamet, and it talks about it's like England. I can't remember which. I think it was Henry V, maybe.
Yep, young Henry
V
encounters deceit, war, treachery after becoming the King of England in the aftermath of his.
It's fantastic. Death. Yeah, it's so well acted. Timothée Chalamet does great.
Oh wow, this cast is stacked.
Yeah, man.
Holy
it's no joke.
cow.
Really, really, really well done. It's a great film. I love it. I love a lot of films that take place in the medieval ages, like in general, and this one is pretty cool. And that one's funny because Timothée Chalamet is French, and he plays an English king. Fucking the Batman.
Robert
What's
Pattinson.
his name? Robert Pattinson, English, plays a French prince and speaks French, which is hilarious. So
That is really funny.
Yeah, very, very funny. But it's a great film, and I'm like, I've watched it many times on Netflix. I'm like, I would really like to own this movie, but I sure can't. And because the other thing too is like, what if Netflix is like, we're taking this one off for whatever reason? I'm like, no, I want to watch it.
But this was a good one.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Another decent one too. Outlaw King. It's about Robert the Bruce, starring Chris Pine as Robert the Bruce. Florence Pugh is also in it as well.
Yes, she is. Both of those came out in 2018. You've got a thing for
How about
2018 movies. Okay.
What a shocker. Both of those, pretty solid films. Big fan of those. Netflix only. So,
Okay.
And then, what is it? Who is it? It's got their Star Wars adaptation coming out. What's his name? I can't think of names right now. Who did Justice League?
Zack Snyder?
There we go. Zack Snyder.
He's doing Star Wars?
It's called Rebel Moon. It's basically his version of Star Wars. It's coming out.
Is it a Star Wars sanctioned thing, or is it like just him ripping?
It's not Star Wars. It's sci-fi that was basically like his version of Star Wars, like more or less.
I
Like
love it.
I think that's how he flagged it. He's like, yeah, I always wanted to make a Star Wars like movie, so this is my like Star Wars movie, more or less. And I think the first part comes out December 22nd. So should be the most expensive Netflix movie of the year. So if that tells you anything.
Did I hear also that they were making a Rey, a new Star Wars movie featuring Rey, like with Daisy Ridley?
Fuck, I would be shocked if she ever came back after the bullshit she went through. I think she quit social media because of fucking Star Wars.
Just all the backlash that they really. Mm-hmm. Rey's new Jedi movie update debunks last rumors, confirmed casting for Daisy Ridley's upcoming Rey movie. There's a lot of people that are saying it seems like that's coming up there. I don't know, man.
Kudos to her. I mean, I hope the script's good, because I can't imagine why she would want to go back wading in those waters, because those are some shark-infested waters, man. Let me tell you.
Those are some. Wait, Star Wars Episode 10: A New Beginning in development.
I don't know.
Wow, really?
I don't give a shit about any Star Wars news.
Will you go to the theater with me and see that movie, Doug?
Hey, dude, if we're together, I'll go see anything with you.
Okay, cool. I love it.
If we're in person, fuck yes. I'll absolutely go. Yeah, man.
All right, then we've got a date. We will go in 2027. Doug and I will go see Star Wars Episode 10: A New Beginning, and we will we'll report back. Get your news here first. We're giving pre-reviews on all future Star Wars movies.
There we go.
There you go.
Ta-da! Yeah, man. Yeah, but this Rebel Moon show, I mean, it looks interesting. So yeah, it's an epic space opera film. So there you go.
Rebel Moon.
It's coming out.
All right, I'm gonna
first parts.
Who do we got in it?
You got Charlie Hunnam. That's an actor that I think is underrated. Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah,
I like him
absolutely.
a lot.
I couldn't name you a lot of stuff he's been in, but he was in the. What was
King Arthur? It's my favorite movie that he's been in. A movie that I also think didn't get enough love. King Arthur: Legend of the Sword.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I didn't see that one. That was a good movie.
Guy Ritchie film. Oh man, what a fun way to look at King Arthur.
Okay.
Just Guy Ritchie style, man. That guy has a way of telling a story, and I fucking love it.
Well, he was also in The Gentleman, which is a Guy Ritchie film, and that was a fun one. I really enjoyed that one. So I'm down for some Guy Ritchie. So I'll have to check out King Arthur and see what that one's about.
It's not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see what they were setting up.
Okay.
Because I think this was possibly going to be a franchise, and it just didn't do well.
Okay.
Which is a goddamn shame, because man, it was cool. There's some cool music in it, of course, and the editing and the storytelling is very interesting. And I don't remember much about. I mean, I get, there's so many different ways that the King Arthur tale has been told. I don't recall exactly what his upbringing was, but in this version, he was raised in a brothel. I don't remember if that's actually Arthurian legend or not. But you see him like growing up on the streets and basically becoming like a gang leader, and he gets the shit kicked out of him for a lot of his youth. But then he starts, learning how things are run, and then he becomes like the muscle at a brothel. He looks after the ladies. He runs, tricks and shit on the street. He's got all this stuff going on. He's a fucking thug, and he's awesome. But he's also destined to become this guy, and the way he approaches his perspective is very unique because, you think of nobility and whatever. He's not a noble guy. And his approach to things is very unique, and it's fun. And I don't know, I like it's kind of a cool,
I'll fuck with it.
Cool
then,
one.
Yeah.
Another one I just rewatched recently is Bright, also on Netflix.
Was that with Will
starring
Smith?
Will Smith and
Joel Edgerton?
I forget the guy. Yes. Yeah. Man, what a fun concept. Talk about magical mundane.
Yeah.
I know I talked about this when this came out and I watched it. But man, revisiting this, I'm like, God, what a great idea. This is a fantasy world that's set in present day.
Right.
Like the idea that in this alternate reality, all these other mystical creatures and races existed with humanity. And there's a history that dates back thousands of years that has also created racial tensions, racial profiling, and all sorts of shit. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And you're like, oh, I would have loved to, because I was like, was this based on something? No, it was the Landis kid just came up with it and wrote it.
Okay.
Just like had an idea. And I remember I was reading something about how he pitched it. He's like, it's our world, but there's like a centaur over there, and it's not a big deal. And there's an elf over there, and it's not a big deal. And that's an orc, and that's not a big deal. And that's how it's portrayed. Like this is a lived-in world with all these fantasy races, and the crux is that
no one's freaking out about it.
Will Smith's playing an LAPD cop who gets teamed up. His partner is an orc. And orcs are not liked because they sided with this Dark Lord thousands of years ago, so they're always looked at as like evil. And they kind of form their own gangs. They're kind of hyper violent.
Yeah,
they're prone to violence, and so they look at this as a diversity hire with this orc on the force. Nobody likes them and everything like that. And they have very specific. And it's so fascinating. And the idea that there's a magic wand that everyone's terrified of. It's like, they've got a magic wand! Call in the backup, there's a magic wand! It's like this idea of like what this thing is and how they're responding to it. I just was like, rewatching this, I'm like, this is not a perfect movie, but god damn it, is it fun to take this idea of this whimsical, but it's built into the fabric of society, and fuck, it was fun to rewatch this. I'm like, god damn, I'd love to see more of this, We're not in Middle Earth, we're in LA.
Right, we're in Earth.
And yeah. And there's just, oh man, the orcs listen to like death metal, like that's their thing. And like at one point, they're in the car doing a buddy cop movie, sort of thing. And he's like turning on some music. He's here, and he turns it off. Like, man, we ain't listening to that shit. He goes, what? That's a beautiful love song of my people. That's like this death metal song.
I remember when it came out. I never watched it. So I need to. I'll add that one to the list. I'll watch that one too.
Again. I'd say temper your expectations. I'm more of a fan of just the idea, and of course the elves are the snooty people in the world. They have their own elf district that's like super ritzy, and they're part of like they get the best jobs, and the elves run the world sort of situation. So like you see like these levels of prejudice and stuff that's just baked into the society, and it feels like it's a part of it. And
a little bit of commentary in the fantastical.
Yeah, it's really, really cool and very interesting. The idea of, there's this magic wand that they're trying to track down, but only certain people can utilize it. Okay. And you have to be called what's called a bright. If you're a bright, you can handle it, and not. If you're not, if you touch it, you'll absolutely just you'll just disappear into dust.
Disintegrate.
Exactly. And I don't know, it's just amazing. And the idea that if anyone's using magic, it's like a big fucking deal because they're like, yo, no, we can't be doing this. This is illegal and whatnot. So I don't know, man. Fun fucking shit. Right. And again, Netflix only movie. So, there you go. Ta-da! I'm gushing over this thing that I watched again 2 weeks ago.
I was gonna say,
oh my God.
you were coming in hard on this one, yeah.
I was like, I remember watching this. Let's watch it again. I'm like, this is so much fun. This is so. Do you ever do that? You ever rewatch something and be like, oh man, this is like
absolutely.
This is a fun little trip going down here again.
It's like when I watched when I got to Mission Impossible Episode 7, and then I went back and rewatched the first one. I was like, this is a fun little trip down memory lane because it's been a couple months since I watched this first one.
That's a couple months. Jesus, man.
Huh?
How long does it take you to watch these things?
Oh, no. If I'm being serious, it was probably within a 2-month span. I watched probably the 7 movies.
Man. See, I have a routine where I consume media like multiple times throughout the day. So, you know how I used to say
I was also
could
trying
never
to spread it out, though. I was trying to, because I knew there was I was like, there's 7 of these. You know, like I need, like if I
gotta make them last, man.
If
Got
I
you on
enjoy
them.
if I'm liking this, you know, I don't want to blitzkrieg them. Maybe I want to be like, all right, cool, let that one sit with you for a little bit.
So this is my new, and it's funny because I never thought I'd ever do this, but this is just how my life is now. I watch everything piecemeal in like certain sections of time.
20-minute chunks or whatever.
So I watch something while I'm eating breakfast and stretching.
Okay.
And then sometimes if I'm eating lunch, I'll watch something, and usually while I'm cooking, I'll watch something. So like,
I have a
couple times throughout the day.
I have a really hard time with that because when I watch stuff, I can't be cooking and watching something I haven't seen. If it's something I've seen and I'm familiar with it, I can put it on. But if I haven't seen it, I have to be glued. I have to be glued to it. Like
It depends.
Okay.
Like I won't watch anything that has subtitles while I'm cooking because
Naturally,
obviously I prefer to have something that's very dialogue heavy while I'm cooking, so that if there's like a lot of action and movement and stuff, like, and you know, whatever. While I'm cooking, it's also nice if it's something I've seen before, because, you know, I'm not out. Like I had Stand By Me on last night while I was cooking. Like, I've seen that movie lots of times, but, you know, it's a good movie, dialogue heavy, you know, it's perfect.
That's why you referenced it. No, there was a chat that we had going, and you said something about Stand By Me, and I'm like, that's a weird pull, but okay.
You can usually understand what I'm watching based on the references that I make.
I just was like, that's a very obscure pull, but okay. I didn't.
And you'd be amazed how easy it is to fit in these references to these things. I'm like, wow, this kind of applies, you know?
It's a very practical. It's a very practical way of going about it, Dougie.
It is. It's very practical.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask.
Jesus Christ. It just stopped, didn't it?
It's not a practical thing to have happen.
We're too far in. We can't do it again.
So if you've never been here for Ask Practical Doug before, Practical Doug is the small Doug that lives inside of Big Doug. And he's practical. That's all you need to know. If you want to ask Practical Doug a question, you can go on any social media at MindGap Podcast, hashtag AskPracticalDoug, or on our Discord, link in the bio below, or the description below. There is a channel set up for Ask Practical Doug. If we don't get any really good questions, we do go to the Reddit well, and it's the Am I the Asshole subreddit that is our favorite. And tonight's Am I the Asshole, Hey Practical Doug, Am I the Asshole, comes from...
Hey Practical Doug. Hey, Practical Doug, am I the asshole?
You've heard of Dear Abby. This is Hey, Practical Doug, am I the asshole?
You've heard of Ask Practical Doug. This is Hey, Practical Doug, am I an asshole?
This comes from Fickle Lead 8447. And they want to know, am I the asshole? They say, Fickle Lead writes, Hey, Practical Doug, am I the asshole for forcing my sister out before Christmas? This is a long one, so strap in. My sister... and see, I always get, is it Ryan? Rain? Okay.
I see it as Rain.
Well, because I always, with Ryan Johnson, I always was trying to mispronounce. I was trying to get fancy with it.
His was R-I-A-N, though.
R-I-A-N?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Ryan.
My sister, Rain, 24, left her girlfriend, and we let her move in with me and my wife, Chris. Rain has been trying to make our space into hers, and I repeatedly told her to stop moving furniture and throwing things like pillows away and replacing them with cheaper, colorful versions. I'm sorry, that's a ballsy move, Rain. She did the same thing in the kitchen and got rid of my wife's stainless steel spatulas and spoons and replaced them with rainbow ones she found on Amazon. Well, because after rain, there's usually a rainbow.
Amen, brother.
This was in September. I told her one more stunt like this, and she's out. Rain keeps saying my wife all gray aesthetic depresses her, and she wants more color in the home. I reminded her she's a guest and she can do whatever she wants into her bedroom and the bathroom, but the thing like the dining, living rooms, kitchen, patio, and the offices are ours, and she's not to make changes. For Thanksgiving, my wife and I visited my in-laws and her family for a week. I get home and Rain painted our living room sky blue. She said she couldn't live with the gray walls anymore. The painting was done so shitty that there's splotches on the ceiling and the floor, even dribble on an expensive area rug that my mother-in-law got us, or my mill. I told Rain that she had to go. Rain insisted the living room looks better. It doesn't. It's better for her mental health. And she talked to her therapist, who said we should allow Rain's taste to be included around the home. Rain has to go. Rain, go away, is what this guy's saying. After much crying on her part, or face Rain, she found a place with my aunt and cousins. My family is mad at me, saying it's Christmas and I should not be kicking her out at this time of year. My wife and I are being called control freaks, and we should have allowed Rain to have more say around the house after her breakup. I was blackmailed with either keeping Rain in my home or don't show my face for Christmas. We still chose to remove her, and my cousin and uncle talked shit the whole time moving her out, saying what assholes we were. Well, they've already made the decision then. So my wife is feeling relieved now that she's gone and is going to hire a painter after the holidays to fix the paint job. Rain has refused to pay for damages, and her room and bathroom she used is in worse shape, where she painted each wall a different color. All was done worse than the living room. So I'll say this, with a few in-the-moment edits, this person needs to work on their grammar and their sentence structure. There's a few things in here that made it difficult to read. But that aside, Fickle Lead 8447, Doug, what's your ruling?
I don't think Fickle Lead 8447 knows what blackmail means. Blackmail doesn't mean you have to make a decision this or that. That's an ultimatum.
That's an ultimatum, right? Yeah.
So we'll start with that. Blackmail involves money.
Or being coerced to do something where there is no option.
Yeah, so that's not necessarily the case. This is tough because, again, we have to take Fickle Lead's perspective. They seem reasonable based on how they wrote this out. There's a couple things where, you see their bias come in and stuff like that. I don't think they're the asshole. And the reason being is that, they're letting their sister stay with them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and in my understanding and the way that I grew up, is that if you are staying somewhere as a guest, you are a guest. You are that. You don't make the rules.
Right.
Like, you don't get to just make the whole place yours. You're sharing a space with people. So, and especially if it's not a place you own, it'd be one thing if they were all renting a place, right? And they didn't necessarily all own it, right? But this Fickle Lead owns their home, and they're allowing their sister to stay there. Mm-hmm. Out of the kindness of heart. This isn't a permanent sort of situation, right?
Right.
So for Rain to go and just paint while they're gone, which also implies that they know they weren't supposed to do it. They're like, well, I'm just going to do it because I can, and to do it without, even asking. They say, well, my therapist said that I should be able to do this. Okay.
That's great.
Well, maybe what your therapist was saying was maybe you should have that conversation
right.
with your sibling. I don't think your therapist said you should go and do this. Otherwise, that's a shitty therapist. So,
yeah.
And the idea too that this person's uncle and cousin were also helping Rain move. Like, Rain can't secure their own belongings to move out of the situation.
How much stuff did Rain bring along?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't get help from people to move, but I'm also like, I'm seeing a pattern here of Rain needs a lot of help, which is also okay. It's okay to lean on your family for help and things like that, but you shouldn't take advantage of them. And the whole be like, you can't kick them out at Christmas. Hey, my perspective, you want you asked for Practical Doug, so I'm assuming you want Practical Doug. I don't give a fuck what time of year it is. If you are being an asshole and you are breaking the social norms and laws that you have established with your siblings, fucking get out. I don't give a shit if it's Independence Day. I don't give a shit if it's your fucking birthday. I don't give a fuck if it's Arbor Day. Get out. Like, no. The time of year doesn't mean shit.
Yes.
Especially to me. I don't give a fuck if it's Christmas or whatever. Like, if someone is doing this, like, and it's come to a point like that, it's like, I don't know, like, no, I don't think Fickle is an asshole for forcing their sister out before Christmas. That's my stance on it. What do you think?
Definitely not the asshole. I would say, like, I have a big issue having just painted many rooms in our house. I have a big fucking issue with coming home and each wall is painted. What was it again? Paints our living room sky blue.
Yeah,
like that's a. So I have an issue with she's coming in and she's throwing out pillows. She's throwing out kitchen utensils.
I forgot that.
She's coming in and she's not even saying like, I brought some pillows in and I'd like to put them on the couch. She's saying, hey, the stuff that you bought, I chucked it and I'm putting new stuff in here. I threw your money away, basically. That's not a decision you get to make. It's my house. I paid for this. You're a guest here. If you want to bring new stuff in and add it, we can talk about that, but don't come in and throw my shit away. So that alone. But then if I come in and someone has fucking painted ceiling, walls, a completely different color after we said, hey, stop, I would lose my shit. And I hope Rain is doing this at the aunt's house. The aunt and the cousin that took her in, I hope to God that Rain is doing this at the aunt's house. Because if they're going to start pitching a fit and saying that Fickle is an asshole and his wife's an asshole for this, go ahead, take Rain in. Let's see how that works for you. Because I have to assume that the behavior is pretty ingrained and is not going to change.
Because the thing is, like, I can't get over the fact that Rain is just being really disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because this is not Rain's home.
No.
This is not her home. I understand she's going through a rough time. She had a breakup and she's, for her, she needs brighter colors. You can do that in your own space. They let her do that in her own room. They let her do that in her own bathroom. That is her space. This is a common area that you do not own.
Right.
So you do not get to make unilateral discussions. And fucking utensils? You're like, I got to have rainbow colored utensils. Get the fuck out of here. You do not need to have that shit. Like, what are you talking about?
And again,
like, now
bring them in, but don't throw the other ones out. You don't have the right to do that.
Don't replace this shit. No. You don't want to be like, I don't like your aesthetic, so I'm going to change it. That is incredibly selfish.
Yes.
And that is incredibly disrespectful to do that. And no, I don't think they're an asshole at all for being like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you are, mildly ruining our home. So fucking beat it, It
is decided.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
I really hope that
Justin.
Fickle Lead 8447 has a lovely holiday season. I hope things clear up because I cannot imagine how angry I would be if I had to deal with that around this time of year. With all the other stuff that you have to deal with around this time of year, if I had to deal with that, I would be fucking furious.
I hate painting. I hate it. And then all of a sudden be like, you forced this on me? Mm-hmm. Like, how fucking dare
And again,
you?
like, I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on this, but like, did she? It doesn't sound like she was careful. So like, is their trim ruined now? Mm-mm. Like, do they have?
It sounds like it was pretty splotchy. She ruined a fucking rug.
That's what I'm saying. This. Anyway, yes. The homeowner in me is now getting like all riled up.
Yeah.
I am gonna recommend not letting your sister move in with you. I'm gonna recommend.
There you go.
On Apple TV Plus, so you know where to find it. It's called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
This is a surprise to me. I didn't know this was your jam.
I didn't either. I like the Godzilla and the Kong movie. They're fun. Like it's I'm like, oh, this is great. I really enjoyed this. I flicked it on because I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do with the series because it does live in the same universe as all the MonsterVerse as they're calling it, and it takes place in 2015. Just after the events of the first Godzilla movie, after San Francisco got wrecked, I gotta say, I'm into it. I'm really into it.
Right.
It stars Kirk Douglas and no, not Kirk Douglas. Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. I got to pull it up here. I just Kurt Russell, thank you, and Wyatt Russell, who we know from Marvel fame. They play the same
father and son.
They play the same character decades apart, which I thought was really cool.
Fucking smart.
Which is really, really fun. So because Kurt
Don't
Russell
need to use de-aging technology.
No.
We've got his biological son.
I didn't realize how much they looked alike too until there was one.
They look
there was
so
one
much
scene
alike.
where they had Kurt Russell driving a car, and it faded into Wyatt Russell driving a car in a flashback, and I'm like, holy shit, that's really it's there. I can see the relationship.
He came from his balls.
He came from his balls. But it was cool because Kurt Russell's always like, yeah, we always get asked to play father and son. We've never gotten asked to play the same character. So to figure out together who this character is at different points in the like, that's been a fun thing for us as father and son to kind of and actors is to go through together. So, but yeah, it's an interesting. So it takes place in 3 different time periods: the 2015, the 70s, and the 50s, and it kind of follows Monarch as it gets started, and then how it went off the rails, and kind of and you get to see some other Titans. So I'll say I'm excited for this Friday. Episode 4 is coming out, and I will be there to watch it. So, how
many episodes are there?
I don't know in total for the season, but 4 is coming out. I'm gonna guess it's probably like a 10 episode. Most Apple shows are about 10 episodes, so I'm gonna guess it's probably that.
Yeah, I think it's probably 10. Based on IMDb, it says Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell are in 10 episodes. Spoiler.
There you go. Okay, so none of them die. Thanks, Doug, for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah,
Doug?
Natalie really likes Godzilla stuff, and I just showed her the trailer for the new King Kong and Godzilla movie. And she's like, we're going to the theater to see that. I'm like,
I love it.
Okay.
That's amazing. I just watched...
I look at the movie, I'm like,
Oh, I just watched the trailer for that one today, too, and I'm just like, this is the least excited I've been for one of these, but okay.
Yeah. Hey, King Kong's got a fucking medal on him. He's gonna be punching some fucking balls. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-boopy. She's like, why is Godzilla red? I'm like, I don't know, kid. I guess we'll have to find out.
We'll find out in the movie. Yeah.
Fucking find out. Yeah. So, but I love that because I was like, she's gonna love this. Yeah. She's like, we gotta go to the movies to see this.
I love the reaction.
Right, I'll go with you.
Like, she's like, Dad, this is not a negotiable thing. We're going.
She goes, as soon as I turn around, she goes, is this a new Godzilla movie? I'm like, yeah. She's like, whoa. And she's just like, her commentary through it. I wish I would have recorded it. She was super into it.
I love it.
It was so good. I'm going to recommend, like I said earlier, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. What a great film. Yeah. I understand why it won and the awards that it won because it's so fucking great. Just so creative, so well acted, bizarre, funny, heartfelt, like just a great story. It was so well done. It's phenomenal. And if you don't know much about it, I'm not going to tell you much about it. Just fucking watch it. It's great.
If you don't know much about it, it's very hard to describe much about it.
It is. It's weird. It deals with the multiverse. Yeah. I'll tell you that much. So, and I don't know. I knew there was some weird elements to it. And I thought there was some multiverse stuff, but I did not expect what I got. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
I'll just say
I kind of enjoy
being
surprised by it. Hot dog fingers. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. That seemed to me almost like an improv film where they're like just pitching ideas for different things. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, of course that exists. I'm like, and you believe it because you're like, this is a multiverse where anything is possible.
Right. Every possible thing that has happened is there. Yeah.
It's there. It's absolutely possible, which I find absolutely fascinating. Interesting thing too, talking about being surprised. I finally watched the movie Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood.
Help me out. Which one was that?
He plays a cowboy. It's a Western.
1992. Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because it was not what I expected.
Okay. What can I just ask? How did you happen across a Western from 1992?
It's been on my list to watch for a while.
Just knowing you, that seems very.
I'm not into Westerns.
Anti what Doug and that era too, like. Because you like,
I like Tombstone and I like Maverick. I like those two.
Both really good films, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I like both of them. If this just, I would never in a million years would I have put this on. What do I think Doug will be watching?
Yeah, it's been on my list for a while to check out, and because I know it's like highly lauded. I think it won awards.
Okay.
And it was, I think I was just looking for something to watch. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. It was not what I expected.
In a good way?
And I don't know. I guess, you look at the trailer and whatnot, and I'm like, this is going to be we're going to be fighting. There's going to be some gunfights. There's going to be whatever. There's not much, there's a lot of there's a lot of interesting stuff with like history and, you know, your past and things like that. So that was kind of interesting, but I don't know. I'm still letting it marinate as to whether or not I really liked it or not. It's also not my genre. So
3, 4,
you know,
5,
that too.
6, 7, 8, 9. Nominated for 9 Academy Awards and won 4 of them. Wow.
What?
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Screenplay, Art Direction, Cinematography, Film Editing, and Sound.
Dude, that's the same year Terminator 2 was out. Silence of the Lambs.
It won Best Picture. It's what it says here. I don't know.
You gotta be fucking shitting me. Get the fuck out of here.
Doug just got real angry at this movie.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Maybe it was the 93 Academy Awards then, because I don't know. Beats me, but yeah, it was okay. 1993, like March '93 is when that one won. Because I was like,
4 films released in '92.
Yeah, I was like, how dare you? How dare you? I'm like, what do we got here? We got fucking Last of the Mohicans, Scent of a Woman, My Cousin Vinny, Unforgiven. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I can allow it.
I'll
allow this thing that happened 20 years ago to stand. But whatever.
Either way, shocked that you watched it. Shocked that it won so many awards, and I did not come across my radar at all. So I'll have to add this one.
Yeah.
Yet another one you're making me add to my list, Doug.
Okay, but can we order the list?
Yeah.
Can we put this in order?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's stack rank them. What do we
Number
got?
one.
Number 1.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
All right. Number 2, Arcane. Start there, and when you're done with that, we'll go through the rest.
You're lagging
all right?
again. What happened? What'd you say?
God damn it! Don't do this to me. I need to talk to you about those two, okay? And we'll go through the rest after, okay?
Okay.
They're all on Netflix. Go. Do it. Okay? Get it done. Folks, get in the comments and bug Justin. Tell him to get it done. He owes a debt.
Arcane is going to be one that you're. This is going to be a push for me, Doug.
It's 9 episodes, man.
It's going to be.
They're like 45 minutes.
It's going to be a push for me.
How's that going to be a push?
Because
you've watched Avengers.
Yeah, but I don't do a lot of animated shit, man.
I guess that's why these first 2 is going to be a real challenge for you. You know.
I don't do a
animated.
lot of animated shit. I do some, like Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, dude. I stand by my word on that. All right. I think you'll enjoy it.
Is
this
considered anime?
I don't know. Anime is more like Japanese, I guess, sort of stuff. I don't know if that really falls into the line with that. It's animated. It's an animated series, but I don't know if I'd call it anime.
Okay, so this doesn't fall into like any specific anything that we've nerded out on here before about like you and Noah or anyone. Okay,
I would categorize it as that. Okay. I don't know. I don't know where the defining lines are for it, but it's 9 episodes. I think you're going to enjoy it. I really do. It's great. Great voice acting, great storytelling, fantastic animation. Those 2, you're going to have just an orgy of amazing animation out of those
Now, what
things.
if I watch Arcane first and then take forever to watch Spider-Verse? Will you be upset?
I will be upset if you take forever to do any of this. So clear your plans. You know, you have Monarch Legacy of Monsters on Friday, but then on Saturday, fucking get to work.
Doug, what the answer should have been is you got 2 fucking days until Legacy of Monsters comes out. I should be able to get through.
I'm giving you a grace period, Justin.
I'm just saying, you should hold my feet to the fire a little bit harder on this one.
You also got a fucking Christmas break coming up, all right? So fucking get to it, all right?
All right, fine.
Get to it, God damn it. Well, that being said, this has been so great, Justin, talking to you and having such a pleasant conversation. And, I
don't feel bullied or threatened at all.
No, if you think Justin should be bullied or threatened, check us out on all our social medias at MindGap Podcast. Write out and say, Justin, fucking watch this shit. You know what's up. Doug knows what's up. Fucking check it out. Check the link in the description below for our Discord, for our Patreon, for our merch at redbubble.com. And be sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate you. Check out our YouTube page for some wonderful clips from my recent stream of Lethal Company, which was a goddamn delight. And I cannot wait to go back and play that again. That was so much fucking fun. We'll talk more about that in the future. So check all that stuff out, and be sure to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. And while you're in the online realm, any place where you can find and consume quality podcasts, you can find and consume us. Go ahead and like, rate, review, subscribe, share, all those things. The sharing is the big one that we always ask you to do. People need to know we're out there in order for us to grow. So please, if you can, just tell one person, hey, there's a podcast I listen to. You should listen to it too, and you'll have done your job. So thank you in advance for doing that, to guilt you into it. And then TwoEastEighth.com, TwoEastEighth on all social media, loveanimprovfilm.com, loveanimprovfilm on Instagram.
Booyakasha. And with that, I'll say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Listeners, viewers, thank you. And you all have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.